Chicago Bears.
Yes, sir. You got it. Actually, really quick, Justin, can you say Detroit one more time?
Detroit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Love that. Okay. Best for first. Yes. So there's been a lot of change, right? There's been a whole lot of turnover. There's a lot of new bodies. I think the big couple of things that people have been a little speculative on. So first and foremost, why is Matt Eberflus still in town, right? Will Caleb really kind of show up? Is he the guy? Is everyone speculating that he's the guy that has past 20 years of drafts have kind of cooked up? So are things coming to a culmination in that? There's a lot of questions, and tomorrow's the Hall of Fame game, and football is on the horizon, guys. I'm just excited. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, we're almost here.
So, you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
My router decides that 8 o'clock on Wednesdays is the best time to reset, and I don't know why it's doing that.
It's like, okay, it's your Updog recording time. Time to shut it down.
Something like that.
So anyways, Chad, I'm sure you have a little bit of a different take on Caleb Williams.
I feel like I'm going to be really, really rude here, but like I feel the complete opposite about the Bears. I think, there's 2 Matts now.
Oh no! Wait, there's like 3. Oh no! We have multiple Matts. Oh no!
I watched Caleb Williams in college, and now he's going to professional, and I don't think Caleb Williams is the man. He's gone 500 in college. Yeah, he won a Heisman, but I feel like the field was diluted. I don't know if the Bears made the right choice. Personally, if I was going to draft Caleb Williams, I probably would have fired the coach and the GM and just started fresh, get a whole new organization. But they're going to keep the same coaches and same front office. They did keep DJ Moore, which I love him. They gave him $100 million. And I like DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen and Roma. It all, like, I see where they're going with it, but they have no offensive line. And I think my biggest problem with the Bears is they gave Justin Fields nobody to protect him, no weapons in his time in Chicago. The man could barely do anything. And when he had nothing, that's when he ran for like 175 yards and was tearing it up, right?
Yeah.
And I think personally, I know I'm an Ohio State fan, but I don't think I would have moved on from that big of an investment. They traded up to get him. Like, I don't think the Bears are going to do it this year. Personally, I think I guarantee they're firing the coaches this year, at least.
And there's speculation for that, right? Like, there's plenty of people on the Bears, within the community that are still naysaying. Like, I don't like Caleb. I don't like the nails. I don't like how he expresses himself.
Yeah,
he's got 8 Super Bowls as a goal on his phone.
I mean, it's just like reminiscent of Jamarcus Russell for me, and like I think his ego's way too big. He's coming into this. Like I said, he hasn't done anything, and he's like demanding like percentages of the team, and he wants to be paid in special ways, and it's just like this guy's ego is going to be in the way. He hasn't proven anything. It's either do it or don't this year, and I think if he doesn't show any signs this year, then it's going to be like we made a huge mistake.
Yeah, honestly, like I see what they're doing. I like the direction they're headed.
I love the running backs and wide receivers. I love it.
Yeah,
adding Gerald Everett's great.
They learned their lesson from Justin Fields. They learned to give their quarterback weapons, but
that's fucked up. Part of my language. That's fucked up. They waited his whole career so far, and then do something.
The only thing is, Caleb Williams is a highlight player. He wants to make the big play every time, so he'd rather throw it to the new $110 million receiver in DJ Moore 40 yards down the field in triple coverage than get the first down with his legs or throw it on the crossing route. So, like, I don't think his decision-making is that good, and they are really young on defense. I think they're going to end up getting torched a lot. and they don't have an offensive line. Like when Ryan Bates is possibly your best move on offensive line, then yeah, it's not a good look. But I do like that they got Torrey Taylor. They're going to be punting a lot, and that guy knows
They're going
how
to
to
need
do
that
that.
one.
Yeah.
This is the only punter I ever put up on here, just because I was hoping at some point one of us would talk about Torrey Taylor. The one thing that worries me is like I'm seeing a repeat of pattern with the Bears. When they drafted Caleb Williams was during Matt Nagy's lame duck year, and now potentially we're looking at the exact same thing with Eberflus potentially being in a lame duck year. Why do they keep drafting quarterbacks at the end of someone's time instead of at the beginning? It's very strange.
They better be committed to Eberflus.
And I think that's the speculation. Eberflus has built the locker room. He's built the culture. He is there, like stood fast, and I'm hoping that's kind of reflected at least a little bit in Hard Knocks. I mean, granted, they show what they want to show on Hard Knocks, right? That's not always.
Yeah.
But I really hope that's something that's kind of emphasized. I feel like you were able to see a little behind the curtain with the Lions and on how Motor City Dan Campbell was able to like really establish a culture, the grit, all of that stuff behind it. And I really think we'll be able to see a bit more of that as Hard Knocks reveals itself. But again,
well, you can find some of it on YouTube. Did you and Twitter? Did you see the pass to Keenan Allen yesterday?
No.
So they were running this drill, and I think it was more for goal line, but they were in the middle of the field for space.
Fair.
So I think it was just quarterbacks and receivers, and they wanted Caleb Williams to just lob it up. You can actually hear Keenan Allen go, "Hell nah," on one of the lobs, and it was so short that he just literally had to stop his route and walk in to grab it.
Bummer.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, and Matt, I think you nailed it with
preseason, right? That's what growing pains are for, right?
That's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, but that's not the type of throw you want to see from a number 1 overall pick. That's
huge investment.
That's the type of throw you see from like a 5th or 6th round pick just hoping to make the roster.
Or Daniel Jones.
Or yeah, that too. Or Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow had a few of those too.
We'll see. There's a lot of speculation. I think the biggest thing that people have been saying about in camp overall as a whole is that Caleb is capable, right? And I'm not looking for Peyton Manning here. I'm looking for I'm hoping. Let's say I'm hoping. I'm hoping for Trevor, right? If Trevor Lawrence pops out with this kind of thing and he's got better receivers off the bat, O-line sketchy, yes, but like his pocket awareness with that kind of thing is doable, right? So
a fullback named Kari Blazing Game.
Yes. Game. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the O-line continues to be a speculative issue. D-line continues to be a speculative issue. Can Javon Dexter make the next step up? Do we have the D-lines on staff, DNs on staff to actually work through? So there's speculation. People are still wondering if we're going to sign Yannick Ngakoue. That's a thing. And we're just kind of passing things around. That being said, there's a lot to hope for about this team. The overall impression is that like things got better, right? Granted, there were a couple, let's call them incidents about last season where our offensive coordinator was not great. The defensive coordinator left. That's the whole thing. And I think, honestly, the whole team kind of fell apart and restarted as a whole. Montez Sweat came into town. So that was kind of the saving grace, I would argue. But again, we won't know until they take the field and see how things go.
So I do think
the big thing is the Chicago Bears are going to be fun. Like there really aren't many times where I can think about, there's been times when the Bears have been good, but led by defense. Mm-hmm. There's been the Bears are just bad and very bad on offense. This is a time where Like they're at the very least, they're going to be fun. And I think that's a huge thing for the
And
Chicago Bears.
Cardinals a little bit too, right? Like the Cardinals, like smaller market, not as well known, right? But at the same time, like they're going to be a heck of a team to watch, right? You might not have been able to stomach many games in the past year or so, but like things have turned around. I think to a degree where it's just going to be like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to sit here and watch it unfold, right?
Yeah. I do think Matt absolutely nailed it, Caleb Williams, though. Exactly what I was going to say about him. I think the most worrisome thing was watching USC in the Holiday Bowl with Miller Moss. And honestly, their offense looks smoother, a more well-oiled machine with the backup quarterback than it did with Caleb Williams last year.
And they have
That is where that concern was.
Bigger,
because
meatier men.
He just kept trying to take the big plays and wouldn't take the small plays. He's going to have to learn that real quick in the NFL. Like, you need to take that 7-yard out to Keenan Allen every once in a while. You're not going to be able to bomb it to a Dunze or more the entire time.
And those are the questions. And honestly, in my opinion, I think I think it's going to be more like Keenan Allen's down there somewhere. Just toss the rock. But but overall, as a whole, I think that's kind of the tougher thing. But like, if there was someone that I were to choose that, like, okay, Mitch, Justin, Caleb, which one of you can actually like make reads? Which one of you can actually go down, like make the dinks and dunks and the small plays and do the boring things, right? Out of the three of them, I'd probably say Caleb would probably be the. Again, haven't seen him play on an NFL field, but I'd be willing to speculate of all people that have put in the work, understand how the game operates, and within the system that he's operating in as a whole, I would say I put money on that, frankly. But again,
let me put it to you this way. So, say you only change one thing in the draft. Instead of drafting Caleb Williams, you draft Marvin Harrison.
Yep.
As suggested. You put him on the field with DJ Moore, and you already got Keenan Allen, and then you draft Rome as well. Think about that. The 4 wide receivers you would have. You would never have a tight end. You throw the ball anywhere.
I mean,
be it salary cap hell in 4 years, that's for sure.
You'd probably be competing for
but by then you'll have a good quarterback. So who cares?
Right? That's the speculation, right? So if we hit the window and Caleb turns out to be good, not even like who people think he is, just like good, right? Like Jordan Love, right? If he and him can duke it out for the most part and compete at that level, cool, great. Yes, that does set the window. I think defense is probably just a couple pieces away, right? And again, I think the idea is that like we're segueing into 2024 to be ready for 2025. Again, assuming Caleb becomes that person.
So,
yeah.
Joe, you segued perfectly into the defense for me.
There you go.
I think the Bears made like a bunch of big splashes last season trying to shore up the weak spots because they got rid of Roquan Smith. But like TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds, like they were okay, but they didn't live up to the how much money they were being paid. And when you pay them that much, they gotta perform a little bit better than that. But then on offense, like you're giving Keenan Allen a decent amount of money, and who knows what he is now. You've never seen Rome Odunze on a NFL field.
Mm-hmm.
And then DeAndre Swift, lackluster last year, kind of been pretty bad the past couple of years. Khalil Herbert.
He'll be like the main pass catching. I don't think he'll be like the mover or anything like that. That's probably Roschon.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't you want like how much you invested in Roschon? Wouldn't you want to see him more in the run game? Because then you have Khalil Herbert too, and there's too many mouths to feed on a team that kind of, they don't have an identity right now, and especially with a quarterback with so many question marks.
That's a hard part to kind of like really feel through, right? It's a great question, right? Like, how do things settle out? And I think the idea is like, let's just give him targets. Let's give him his running back that can bail him out if necessary. Let's give him Keenan Allen, who is your starting early QB's best friend, right? And that helped develop Justin Herbert to some degree, right? So,
but that's a little too logical for Caleb Williams, because if he continues to play like he tried to in college, he's going to end up being Jamarcus Russell.
so here's what here's what I've heard, and this is this speculation that I've come across from a couple other sources and whatnot, is that like in a certain way, like his senior year, Caleb was bored, right? Like you only have so much to do, you only have so much time to get rid of the ball. Go for the big play, big game hunt, get it done, right? When you don't necessarily have the receiving core that's capable, right? Sorry, there's the son. Sorry, dude. But when you don't necessarily have the core, you don't necessarily have the line, you're automatically considered the best player on your team without much conversation. That's not a whole lot of support, man. Like,
Yeah, but if you're gonna go number one and want to be successful in the NFL, like maybe his goal was just to go number one, but like I feel like maybe it's just because I'm in my 30s and I have a different outlook now than I did when I was his age. But like I feel like I would want to work to become even better than I was in college and work on the things that I may have been lacking at Oklahoma and my first year at USC. Like instead of just taking those shots and becoming complacent, because that's now what he has become used to.
I mean, he was the favorite to get the Heisman again, right?
Yeah.
He was supposed to win it last year, and he wasn't even in a finalist, right?
No. And if he would have just done his job, then everybody would have just been like, okay, he's doing the right thing, but it's on his receivers instead of
Line.
instead of it being like him holding the ball too long, him throwing the ball 40, 50 yards down the field in triple coverage and it getting picked off. Like he's a big reason why they had 4 losses at USC. And like the standard is typically pretty high there. I mean, I guess the Bears have a lower standard because they haven't had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards or a quarterback that's thrown for 30 touchdowns.
exactly.
And when your best quarterback is named Jay Cutler, then I think that
Cutler.
Yeah, like you just take the hype because that's the most hype you've seen out of a quarterback that's fallen to you in a long time.
And I mean, like on the reverse side, like Patriots, right? Like I'd probably say Patriots are in a very similar situation where they have Drake May, who dude can throw the ball from anywhere, make any out of the start of play. Didn't have much of anything on his team either, right? So I'll be curious to see how like both scenarios kind of pan out a little bit, because in the Bears' realm, like right, they've covered everything virtually except maybe O-line, right? You have the receivers, you have the running back, you have the tight ends, you have anyone you want to throw to, right? So you can make the plays, like in theory, right?
There should be no excuses,
Yeah.
Exactly.
at this point. I mean, if they don't perform this year, I mean, seriously, you have to have a serious conversation about the organization and where it's going.
True.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
he's a huge investment.
Joe, as the Bears fan, for Eberflus and Poles, how many wins? How many wins do they need this year
To survive?
Yeah.
I think Poles has cemented himself. I really don't. I think getting rid of Poles is an awful move, no matter who you are. He's the moves he's made, the ways he's been able to do for things. Like he backed the Panthers, man. I mean, granted, like we owe Lovie Smith our lives, but like Poles has made moves. So I think he stays no matter what, no matter how bad. Ryan Poles stays. His staff, Ian Cunningham, right? Like they've become such a tandem and a combo together that you can't go wrong with that. And I think no matter what, the nucleus is still there as a whole. Eberflus, hard to say. I I was kind of on the fence. I probably would admit I was one of the people scratching my head to be like why didn't we? Why that? And to be fair, you could argue culture, you could argue mindset, you could argue a little continuity, but that is the problem as the Bears organization, right? We do things backwards. We get the QB, and then we start over, and then we get the GM, and then we get the quarterback, and then we get the Q, and then it starts all over again, right? It's a vicious cycle. It's very.
So do you think Eberflus will be the linebacker coach for Bill Belichick's staff in New York for the Giants next year?
Maybe secondaries coach, cornerbacks. I think.
Yeah.
Specialty.
For me, if Eberflus wants to stick around, he's got to at least equal what he did last year.
I think he has to go.
I don't think he can equal it. I think he has to do better. I'm thinking at least 7 or 8, probably.
Well, he had 7 wins last year, so if he has at least 7 wins this year, you keep him for 1 more year. If he doesn't, he's gone. And
Yes.
if he goes above that, then you
I personally think he has to be above 500, at least 1 game over 500.
Yeah, my original
much
benchmark
you
when I
want.
asked that question was I was expecting 9.
You trade away your top 5 pick, that's a huge investment. You got Caleb Williams, another huge investment. You just gave DJ Moore $110 million. They brought in Keenan Allen. I mean, I'm sure they're paying Rome too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is, if they can't perform, this is a lot of money they're just holding.
No, true.
Are the Bears, are they well off as far as teams go? I don't know.
Caskies have a reputation for being a little stingy. Not stingy as the Bengals, but
yeah, well, we're small.
Yeah.
Mike Brown's the stingiest owner in the NFL.
Yeah, dude, it's okay.
Yeah.
We know what we are.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like that's a lot of money to be holding, sitting there with nothing.
True.
No. And
but
tension has to happen.
But we can go from one shitty NFC North team to another.
Yeah.